What's going on everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at the current state of Ghost Recon Breakpoint and try to understand if it's worth buying in 2021. Now I do want to point out that this review is going to focus mainly on the PvE side of the game. I do not play Ghost Wars and I also don't like the raids. So you can already tell a couple things I don't like about Breakpoint. However, I have managed to somehow sink in over 1,000 hours last year, and there is gotta be a reason for that. So the game has changed quite a lot since it came out. I personally didn't bought it up until they released the Immersive mode, which was around 5 to 6 months afterwards. I'd say the biggest downside of Breakpoint, at least compared to Wildlands, was, and the lack of better words, the crappy job that Ubisoft made at turning Ghost Recon Breakpoint into a looter shooter. Not only that, but they decided to introduce drones and behemoths, which is something most people don't like and still nobody really wants. Now I can understand that the main story revolves around Skell and his tech company, and they produce drones and everything, and I wish I could say more about the campaign, but it was so boring, at least for me, that I didn't even finish it. The side quests also feel really bland. There are some that feel really good. There is one where you have to stop a nuclear warhead from exploding. That one is pretty fun, but for the most part, they are very repetitive, and the same thing goes for the daily missions. It's always going to be something around the lines of shooting a commander, to rescuing a hostage, to blowing some stuff up. Now I know this review might seem a little bit too negative, and it will be if not for the fact that Ubisoft gave you the tools to change up your own experience. With Immersive mode, you can now get rid of the gear score, and the most recent update also allows you to get rid of those pesky drones, and that's why I haven't seen any of them in my most recent videos. I'm going to be leaving a link to a video where I talk about how to make Breakpoint feel like a tactical shooter, where critical thinking and stealth actually pay off, and where getting shot at actually kills you, so if that feels like remotely interesting for you, definitely check it out. I also gotta give credit to when credit is due. Even though the vanilla missions are mostly crappy, most of the DLC missions are actually very good. On top of that, Golem Island is now open to public, and with it so are a lot of new missions and side quests revolving around the island. There's also some really interesting places to explore there, so it's definitely a breath of fresh air. One of the things that really hurt the game at launch, besides lack of realism, is the complete absence of AI teammates, which played an important role on Ghost Recon Wildlands. Since then, they have eventually added them, and they do work just fine most of the time. You can sync shots with them, you can completely customize their outfits and their weapons, which is something I really enjoy and appreciate. You cannot, however, get rid of the weapons they come with, so if you're like me and play Breakpoint for the realism, it just kinda sucks. They can also revive you when you are down, so they make up for good partners, especially on the highest difficulties. One of the features that was added, which I really like, is the Darkest Night mode, which pretty much turns your nights dark as dark can be and really forces you to use night vision. This was something that the community was requesting for ages now. The nights were way too bright, which not only hurt the realism but also made the NVGs way too bright and pretty much pointless. Hell, I remember when me and my clanmates will turn down our brightness when doing operations, just so that the NVGs will kinda work. One thing that also has been improved is the weapons customization. On top of having a lot of weapons to choose from, with more being added with each update, you can now fully customize your weapons, from choosing your stock to your underbarrel, with some weapons now having particular underbarrel options, like the AK's grenade launchers. Not everything is perfect though. For some reason, some sights are locked to certain weapons. For example, the aimpoint T1/magnifier combo is locked to the UMP. As far as gear customization goes, there's also have been many improvements. You can now completely change the color of, I'd say, 90% of the pieces. Stuff like ghillie suits or the Hills vest, for example, were previously locked in their original colors. You can now change those and a ton more, but as usual, some are still locked. Also, for some reason, and this really bugs me, but we have 3 different types of ghillie suits and still no ghillie hood. Now this is pretty much becoming a meme now. I've got no idea what the hell is up with Ubisoft when they left out the most important part of the ghillie suits, but for the time being we have to resort ourselves with this sweaty boy over here, which personally I will never be using. One of the things that people also didn't like about Breakpoint was how big the map was. Now I personally don't think that's the problem. It's actually even bigger now with Golem Island, and there are rumors that more parts are gonna be added. I've been setting my eyes to these islands over here, so we never know. I'd say the main problem with the map is that it doesn't feel connected. I can think of 5 to 6 different games, like GTA for example, Skyrim, Witcher, hell, even Metro, and those games make a really good job on making players explore their surroundings. That doesn't happen with Breakpoint in the slightest. There is close to nothing going on the open world, the vehicles kinda suck, the roads just feel weird, and 90% of the time you're either going to be using a helicopter or fast traveling your way around it. It also doesn't make much sense that even if you are on an enemy vehicle completely covered up, they will still figure out that you are the bad guy, and that makes traveling a pain in the ass, especially since you are getting attacked every 30 seconds. I'd say that's a big problem. What's the point of having a huge open world when people are gonna fast travel their way around it? During this time there's also been some quality of life improvements, such as a reworked item wheel, and you now have the ability to cook grenades. We are still yet to have smoke grenades added to the game. At this point I don't know if that's gonna happen, but it's something that we as a community just gotta keep requesting. So for future updates, I would really like to see them working on making the map far more interesting. As far as the gameplay goes, it's pretty much the same as it was on launch, and that's a good thing. Breakpoint has improved immensely from Wildlands, the animations are much more smooth and real, the melee takedowns are still kinda iffy when there is terrain elevation in the middle, which sucks since those are usually the coolest takedowns, but all in all the movement system is one of the best things with Breakpoint. With all of these things said, the way I enjoy Breakpoint is by turning the difficulty to extreme and remove most of my HUD elements. I usually leave the objective turned on just so I can see what I'm doing, but as far as the rest goes, they are usually turned off. What these settings allow me to do is to see past the crappy HUD that has been terrorizing gamers out there, and all of a sudden it's much more enjoyable. You can actually see the map now. There are many different bases on Breakpoint, from modern buildings to Cold War era compounds, and if there's one thing that Breakpoint does well, is their base building. Each base is gonna have its own set of defenses, and that ranges from sniper towers to guard posts. Some bases having their own patrols, and trying to figure out the patrols patterns and at what exact time they're gonna leave the building and go to the other one is a big part of the game. Especially on the higher difficulties, remaining stealth is a key aspect of the game, so learning these patterns will go a long ways for a smooth takedown. Ultimately, whether Breakpoint is worth it or not, it's up for your personal opinion. For me, I bought it for 20 bucks, and for that money, the amount of fun I had made it definitely worth it, so if you end up catching it on sale, definitely give it a go. You never know, it might just be the game for you. But that's gonna be it for today, guys. Let me know what kind of content you want me to cover for a future video. I've got some ideas for future series, not only on Breakpoint, but for other games as well. If you guys are looking for a good drinking game, just take a shot every time I said Breakpoint in this video, and I guarantee you're gonna get drunk. But that's gonna be it for today, guys. I'll see you all on the next one. Until then, have a good one. Custerplay signing out.
Look around.